Stop one. Very nice CC. However, Meganard not going to be effective at all. Destiny still is somehow alive. Ow. And Raze is just taking over this team fight. Yep. In goes Babbitt one more time. Gets himself a double kill. Destiny will join him. Tiger, last one standing, and will take down Destiny, who's got a big grin on his face. Rosie goes back in. Seb looking for it, but Sleeping went over the other side of the wall, and you can just see they cannot stand up in a 5v5. Flash forward from Destiny. Tags up Tiger. That's the reset. In goes Raze, and the perfect player is popping off. He's gone out of the pit. Can Mimic steal it? Are they going to be able to grab it? Actually, it's going to be Kha'Zix that got the Baron, and Order fall down. 3 members dead. Triple kill for Claire, and Legacy are back in the game. They're going to look to start up the fight. However, Rogue now taking a lot of damage. Decoy will get the ultimate down. No, just not in time. However, so much damage coming out of Claire. Swiffer is so low, and over the back line comes Mimic. Flies into them. Very nice stun means that Anivia may just live. However, the rest of Order is destroyed. It is do or die time for Order, and they actually might have done it. Legacy, one more shot from Raid, picks up the game, and Legacy will meet Chiefs tomorrow. They win Game 5.
The great knock-up gets exploded. Look there on the Juju's with Thresh. Cannot defend her. I cannot believe it's going to be the game. I can love this final.
Mickey Well gets in behind him, trying to turn it in Radiant. Wave onto everyone. Triple kill for Radiant and Mickey Well, last man standing. It's a slugfest. Double kill, triple kill, double kill, quadra kill, double kill, triple kill. My God, that was amazing.
Hooks on, Big Swift has gone mega, but they killed a support. Can't connect the chain, and Destiny, Hook is on, Swiffer is dead, Ray locks down Raze, Trippies gets that kill, and Spurs is stuck between the entire Wolfpack. Double kill for Fantix, they're running towards the Nexus.
Hello and welcome back to the OPL Gauntlet, day number 3, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. It is now time for the Chiefs Esports Club to take to Summoner's Rift against the untouchable team right now. Legacy has run the gauntlet. They've taken down Avant Gaming. They've taken down Order. Up next are the Chiefs. Hello, everyone. I'm Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me is Bryce, Easy, and Paul. Day number 3.
Yeah.
We've had 10 games so far, potential for 15. What do you reckon it's going to be?
I mean, thinking back to Chiefs, Legacy, El Clasico, OPL games like that, you have to think this is also going to go to Game 5. Legacy have had such a good run. Obviously, Chiefs sitting there, they would have watched all the games. They'll be sitting there right now like, look, guys, quick 3-0, we want to take on the Direwolves, but I don't think Legacy are going to give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely not, especially with some of the Legacy players elevating their play. You know, you can say Sybil first couple of games versus Vant, not that good, but then he switched it on. Same thing versus Order. They got their draft right. Last 3 games, completing a reverse sweep, and now coming up against the Chiefs for that spot to play the Direwolves next Saturday in the grand final. And that's what I want to talk about first. I want to talk about mentality and how big this is right now for Legacy, because they would be rolling. They would be on the high train.
Absolutely.
And this is a Chiefs squad that has a couple of rookies in there and, you know, maybe not necessarily the veteran squad that we would have seen last year.
And they're coming in completely cold. They've got to watch the games from their couch back at home, probably scrimming, you know, practicing as hard as they can, but it just does not match the ability to get to play on stage. Legacy will be feeling absolutely super comfortable right now. I heard from a few people, Mimic came into the office today and was hoping for 5 games.
Are they scrimming? Because, to be honest, Juves is here. My team was playing yesterday.
Yep.
Avant probably went out and poured one out for the boys on Friday night. I don't know whether you can get scrim sets during the gauntlet. You've been in this situation before.
It is hard.
It is actually frustrating for players to have to sit there and just play solo queue.
Yeah, it comes down to the analytics, you know, sitting on the couch kind of figuring things out as a spectator rather than being able to grind out scrim. So maybe they have the practice, maybe not. Maybe they've got like some secret team that we don't know about that they've been grinding games against. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly right. However, I do want to talk about how we think this game is going to go a little bit. I think the obvious area to start is going to be in the bottom lane because Raze and Destiny have repetitively said, you know, they're aggressive. They want to get the Zyra Khan. They want to win the game.
but Decoy and Raid have elevated. They've taken that next step, and now they are starting to perform well.
Because you think about yesterday, FBI and Rogue, they are a bottom lane that's like Lane Kingdom. Of course, Raze and Destiny as well, they're trying to say that they have the same degree. They play different champions like Rakan Zaya versus the Thresh of Order and things like that. But as you mentioned yesterday, Raid and Decoy, they stepped up to that. They stepped up to the plate, and I feel like that's going to be another challenge versus the Chiefs today.
It certainly is going to be. And then when you have a look at the other 2v2 on the map, it's going to be Sybil and Claire for the third time this week, taking on another promising and young, inexperienced duo in Ryoma and Babip. Babip, obviously, big pressure now going up against his old team.
Yeah.
You know, going to have to be looking over the Summoner's Rift at Sybil, who is sitting in the chair he thought he would sit in for 2 years.
And this is the storyline. Juves was saying, against AV, Legacy have no ties. Against Order, they have Choo-Choos, they have Tally. They took him out yesterday.
Agents.
But now they've got Babip on the other side of the map, taking on his... Come on, like, he looks like Sybil's younger brother. There's definitely a resemblance there.
Yep.
So sibling rivalry, organizational rivalry, just across the board.
And maybe the biggest mismatch on Summoner's Rift. And I hate to do it to your DOS, but you're going up against Mimic, and right now he looks like a very scary man. It's going to be the Rock in the top against the Korean import. That man on your screen has not had a good split so far, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion. And now he is going to have 5 games potentially going up against, you know, someone that is looking very sharp.
Just unrelenting, and I feel like Mimic throughout the start of the split, as you mentioned, pretty rough, but in the Gauntlet has just been absolutely popping off yesterday towards the latter end of the series, and it kind of, I take it down to the bottom lane, because Chiefs, they kind of rely on the bottom lane to play through there when Swiper does fall behind, but I feel like Mimic's going to have so much pressure, and now that their bottom lane of Legacy has stepped up, it's kind of like, where is this pressure point for the Chiefs going to come from?
And then is that what we're going to see, a split map with everything coming down to the mid lane to try and swing it one way or the other?
Absolutely, 100%. Claire also has been popping off, but Ryoma is no slouch, especially in lane. We've seen a bit, like some weird things in the Gauntlet so far. A lot of Swain priority, but Claire obviously doesn't want to play that one. Happy to play into it. Chiefs, I'm pretty sure both of their mid and top laners, they can flex that between the two. So potentially in the draft phase, we're going to see some inklings to how these games are going to play out.
Yeah, exactly right. Who cares about the meta? Now it's just inter-tournament meta, and we'll see how it works out. However, to get their thoughts on the day, let's throw it over to Laura and a couple of analysts at the Analyst Hangout.
Thank you very much, Jake. Yes, we have a couple of analysts today. We've got Coach Sharp from the Direwolves and Juves. Welcome back to the both of you.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to be back. Very glad. I've run the gauntlet on the couch.
Instead of running it as a player. But Sharp, your team's in the grand final waiting for the decider of who you're going to go up against today. How have they been enjoying the gauntlet so far?
Well, after that shake-up yesterday, after that banger of a 5-game series, the guys were pretty hyped. Like, they, from their point of view, they just kind of want to get into the games at this point. Like, it's a bit of, that's something that not many people touch on, is like, you know, obviously you get the advantage both, you know, tactically, you get to see everyone's strategy. But for me, the biggest thing is emotionally. You get to see all these players get broken down, going to those, grinding out those 5 games. Like, Juves, you would know all about it.
I think it's, like you said, like, I think it's actually... Wait, was that some shade at me?
That's all right. No, you weren't broken. You're all right. You're all right.
We
made it back here.
We ended the show with shade. We started the show with shade. I'm getting roasted again. That's all right. No, I was going to say, like, I think it's, like, an advantage to, like, be playing through the gauntlet and being warmed up. But then, like, Direwolves also have the advantage where, like, they're not warmed up because they get that week break in between. So Direwolves actually get the benefit of watching all the games.
Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously there's that massive strategic advantage. You get to see all their picks, like teams like Order and Chiefs. You know, there's no holding back. You have to give and show your full hand if you're going to actually put up a good fight. And I feel as though, yes, obviously that is a massive advantage, but you're right. Like, we don't get any warm up now, and potentially if Legacy run through to us right through to the grand final, they've been on stage now for potentially 3 best of 5s. Yep. And if these games go to all best 5 games, that's 15 games on stage where we've played 0 in the last week or 2 weeks.
And it's kind of like a sense of invincibility. If you win these games, like the last 2 they've won, it's like you just bring it on.
Yeah, and you got Carbon in the back just rallying on the boys.
That's why the Samsung.
Popped off yesterday.
That's why the Samsung sponsorship came online, because they've got the Samsung like tablet infrastructure. Babip's downloaded the virus into Chiefs now, and it's just like all on board Samsung. I'm telling you, it's happened.
Well, speaking of Legacy, they will be going up against the Chiefs today. And the Chiefs were on a huge winning spree throughout the regular season, only to drop it to Order in that last week. And I think, you know, going from the top of the ladder to second place right before the gauntlet starts is a bit of a blow, but I don't think it necessarily hurt the team, because I think they'll use it as a great source of motivation to step up coming into the gauntlet. But then when we look at Legacy, they're having the dream run at the moment, taking down both Avant and Order with those series series going to all 5 games. And I know Jake was talking about the lanes that we should watch out for. I really want to keep my eye on how Raid and Decoy are going to go into the self-proclaimed most aggressive bot lane in the OPL on the side of Chiefs. And after Mimic's performance on Gnar yesterday, I'm really excited to see how Swiper, the Armored Titan, the man of many names, goes up against him.
Well, for me personally, I feel as though Swiper has a lot to prove here. You know, he's been around for a while. He's had a bit of a rough split, but for me personally, he has to really step up as an individual this game if they're gonna put up a great fight against Legacy.
Well, it kind of feels like each week when something happens, when Chiefs win a game, it goes to like a motivational post on Twitter or on social media. And it's like, I'll be ready come Gauntlet time. This is that time now. There's no excuses. There's no next week. This is the time where he said he's going to be most ready. And this is going to be his time to prove he is still the rock in the top. Because, like we said, it's a scary prospect coming up against an import. And it seems like Gauntlet gives an import buff where the imports just seem to 1v5. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But to echo on like what you said also about the bot lane, I think if there was like a award system for Gauntlet, most improved, would 100% be Raid and Decoy. They look like one of the best bot lanes in the league at the moment, playing safe, playing weak side.
Yeah, I mean, Decoy is coming out of nowhere, really. Me personally, I hadn't even really heard of Decoy. He's like a low-key solo queue player coming out of nowhere.
You can't see the guys down that low on the ladder when you're at the top. Is that what you're trying to say when you was on the side?
That wasn't meant to be a low-key player, but genuinely, like, Decoy really came through this split, and I feel as though he's someone that not many people have even really mentioned at all.
With all this in mind, guys, who are you going to give this series to, and what's the score going to be?
For me, it's going to have to be 3-2 Chiefs. I reckon they're going to come out too strong in the end.
I'm on the Legacy hype train. I'm on the 3-2 Legacy, but banger series.
It is a banger series. I'm going to go with you, Juves. I tipped against Legacy the past 2 days, and look at what happened. I'm going to give it 3-2 to Legacy. But throughout today's games, we want to know if you could buff or nerf anything in League of Legends, what would it be? Send those in to us with the hashtag IamOPL. And if your post appears on the broadcast, you win yourself a mystery skin. But to get this series underway, let's hand it back over to Jake and Bryce.
Thank you so much. So a little bit of split indecision there, but everyone kind of thinking that we're going towards game number 5, which I, for one, would be very happy about. However, let's get straight into the lineup. Starting on the blue side, it is going to be the Chiefs Esports Club. Swiper in the top lane, Babip is their jungler, Ryoma in the mid lane, Raze and Destiny their AD carry and support, and of course, Richard Su is their perfect coach, Mr. Fantix. They're going up against Legacy. They fly as one. Mimic in the top lane, Sybil is their jungler. Claire is absolutely the MVP. Give the man the award. It is absolutely done and dusted. Raid and Decoy are their bottom lane, and Lucio, Big Brain Soul Strikes, gave me a headache yesterday. This team, I don't know what it is. You put them on paper and you just think, it doesn't, like, there's holes, there's weaknesses, and then they get on Summoner's Rift and they just get stronger and stronger.
They were all smiles in their photos, you know, coming in hot to this game, and Chiefs absolutely cold. All the pressure is on them, I feel like, in this matchup. They briefly touched on it in the couch, but Legacy have nothing to lose. Going into the season, a lot of people were saying, like, they're not going to potentially even make playoffs. Their roster has been ravaged, but right now, they're proving everyone wrong.
Absolutely, and the Chiefs, this is their split. They proactively made roster changes after what was a disappointing 2017. I'm sorry, Bryce. They went to Korea. They boot camp. They've invested a lot bringing in over Ryoma, Fantix, Destiny, Babip. These are all players that have been hyped for a very long time, and this is do or die.
Absolutely.
Trust me, if you don't win this game, you don't get to play anymore, and that realization sinks in really quickly.
Absolutely does. I can tell you that one from experience. Losing Gauntlet games is a bit of a no-no. It's no fun. It absolutely does suck. But we're into draft and Legacy. I was saying this earlier today. If they're going to ban Xayah every game against Order, you 100% are going to ban Xayah against Raze and Destiny in the bottom lane. So it makes a lot of sense to kick off the ban list with that one.
And look at this. Gauntlet thrown. Get rid of the 2 proactive lanes. No more Rakan, no more Alistar. Let's play Tahm Kench into Braum or Taric into Braum.
Here we go.
This is going to be exactly what Legacy want out of the bottom lane. So what proactivity can the Chiefs pick up on the map? Because when the Chiefs win, they stomp people.
Yeah,
when the Chiefs played Order in their last regular season game, game number 1 was a 26-minute resounding KO.
And then as soon as the interview pick came through and it stalled out the game, you know, the series absolutely turned around. When Chiefs win, they win absolutely hard and fast. But Legacy, with these bans, with the Taric and potentially the Skarner pickup already, they're happy to slow things down. We saw it yesterday. We saw it versus AV as well. This is what they want to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised they actually didn't. Oh, Babip doesn't go towards the Olaf.
Okay.
So no tempo jungler being taken into Sybil. And when Spooks tried to do this versus Sybil, Sybil whipped his bum.
Absolutely. Are we going to see the Cassio into Swain again? We do. Because obviously Azir, Ryze, Syndra have been banned away, but the biggest counter pick into the mid lane of Swain, and that's the caveat. This can go top, this can go mid, but it is a bit of a flex pick.
I have a question for you. You've known Brandon Swiper Holland for a very long time.
I do. I have.
Is he comfortable enough on mage top laners to blind pick a mage? This isn't a tank, into a man that has been on an absolute tear.
Dossie, the Armor Titan, Big Swift Swiper, is an absolutely huge confidence player, so I'm not going to say no. He could have just been absolutely popping off in Swain in scrims, and he'll be 100% confident. We get into this game, suddenly maybe counter pick comes through, Mimic rolls him over.
Maybe that's a Cassiopeia top.
Yeah,
Mooney style.
Maybe things like that, you know? Like, so I think they do have the flex pick here. There is potential that it can go top. Of course, he's more of a tank player, does not play too much of the mage tops.
I ain't saying that. Good Kennen play, good Rumble. Yeah. He was actually a not bad Lissandra.
So in bursts, right? Like he plays them for a very short amount of time and he's like, okay, look, I will be the best Kennen, and he just spams the crap out of it. But I have to see how that goes today. We do see the double top lane bans again for the Chiefs.
Triple really is going to be GP, and then of course on the side of Legacy they take away Sion. Varus is going to also be an 80 carry ban. I think you pick up your 80 carry here if you are Legacy Esports. Something like an Ezreal, something nice and safe.
And suddenly they have a lot more options. Of course, they're just going to go back to the Ezreal, but we saw Caitlyn ban all over the place. Raze insta-lock the Jinx. We talked about scaling. Legacy happy to do that one. Suddenly when you're against a Jinx, maybe not so much, and the Karma.
So that is going to be a top lane Swain.
Karma mid.
This is a Karma mid.
This is
into a Cassiopeia. Little bit of Flex City going on everywhere, but now Mimic gets his pick of the litter. What do you want to play into the Swain?
He hasn't got long, only 10 seconds to make the decision. As soon as they locked that one in, Claire was looking a bit rough around the edges with that pick, but it might just be the Camille going to Mimic. Does he lock it in? 1 second.
Claire had a whole year of playing Karma mid. If anyone knows the champion, it's probably going to be him. However, the Jinx is the interesting pick for me because Hurricane Jinx with Rapid Fire Cannon like shoots off the screen with rockets. And the change to the Hurricane benefited Jinx more than anyone. Now they can crit, the splash damage is now based off your AD. Like there's just lots of very nice things about Hurricane that Jinx uses it very well.
Not to mention, to dive a little bit deeper, you have Skarner on the other side. What does he excel at? Just picking off the one champion. When you just build your comp around this one champion, you build your comp around the Jinx. You have a Karma mid to shield him up. You have a DPS slash tank in the top lane, Sejuani, big front line in the Braum as well. Sybil, as soon as Raze gets the QSS, is going to find it really difficult to do anything to the Jinx, and that's what they need to do to be able to beat Chiefs in this game.
Absolutely, in saying that, we've seen a game like this in the past. Swiper looks very pumped up. Rubbing his forehead as well. Yeah. Decoy, honestly, just having a little bit of a grin in a chat.
He's got a bit of a weird microphone situation. That was like up around the eyeball, down like.
That's all right. I'm sure he's yelling very loud. He's tired. He's played a couple of games. However, we are nearly ready. Day number 3. The date with the Direwolves to be booked next Saturday. The comps are locked in. You're going to have a Protect the Raze comp going up against what is a fighter top lane for Mimic. But he has to go through that man. The King of the North. Big Swifts, the Armor Titan, whatever you want to call him. Swiper looking to lead his young lineup to an OPL final. He has been to the most in the league still. And we'll see whether he can do it again.
The Rock at the top. How hard is the Rock? That's what we're going to have to find out this game. And it's interesting to see Chiefs just buckle down on exactly what has been their strength throughout the regular season. They're just playing around their bottom lane. Raze putting all of the eggs in that basket right now. And it looks like it's going to be a 5-man invade into the top side.
Potentially could be. We are onto Summoner's Rift. Game number 1, Chiefs Legacy. This is for all the marbles. And we actually see everyone streaming up there. The pool will be available. And Mimic is in the corner of the brush. Does he spot them?
Oh,
he does.
So everyone just going to walk away from that one. No harm, no foul. Chiefs take the opportunity, but they don't find an advantage.
I feel like this is actually pretty bad for the Chiefs. However, I'll explain why afterwards, because we're going to check in with Chiefs superstar coach, Fantix, and Laura.
Thank you very much, guys. I am here with Fantix. Now, Legacy have proved themselves to be a real big threat in the Gauntlet so far, taking down Avant and Order. How have you prepared the team and their mindset for this series?
Well, we've kind of just gone into this week more or less the same. Like, it's just business as usual. We always treat our practice seriously anyway, so this week's no different.
So Destiny said in a video recently he feels as though his performance this split has been the best in his career so far. How do you think him and Raze will go up into against Decoy and Raid, who have really stepped up in the Gauntlet?
Of course, Raid and Decoy played phenomenally both series so far, but I think stylistically our bot lane matches up really well against theirs, because even though they played well, they're still like really passive bot lane in my opinion, and I think that's really good for us.
Well, best of luck with the series, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Passive bottom lane is good. Raze just wants to scale into team fights. That's always been his strength. However, what I was going to say is if you're on the slower tempo jungler and they spot out where you start, sometimes things can get a little bit dicey.
We have seen that strategy used against Mimic in the top lane. He's a very potent laning top laner, and people want to burn out his flash, kind of remove a few options. And I have an interesting little fact I just thought about. Raze on the Jinx. When he first joined the Chiefs with the old Dials Chiefs matchup there, Radier was just playing that one game after game as soon as he joined the team. And now he's flipped the tables.
I also find that story hilarious for different reasons. Actually, we're going to see big damage coming out of Swiper and Mimic in the top lane. Extended trade taken and won by Mimic. Couple of auto attacks from Swiper.
Looking for some trade back damage. Were you going to say the B word? The B word being Braum?
No, what I was going to say is from what knowledge I have.
Okay.
So as an outsider, obviously was not a chief back then.
Okay.
Despite popular opinion, was that Radier really wanted to play Jinx. He thought it was a great pick. And there was, I can't remember who his support player was at the time, but wasn't a fan of the pick all that much. And no, I was going to say you were. Actually, let's not talk about that. Invade goes a little bit dodgy.
Oh, you mean when he was on Chief?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to play it when he was on Chiefs.
Yeah.
His support player didn't like it all that much. Then he joined Direwolves and he played it into the Chiefs. And at one point in that game, I legitimately thought he was going to be able to carry the series on the pick.
He went over there with all the strategies, the master playbook, and used it against us. And Babip might be the one doing that here today, but he is going to get spotted out.
Which he does. This is now a legitimate turret dive. A potential up in the top lane. They do not go for it,
Swiper is pretty healthy, and he does still have the flash, but Sybil is still posturing around for this one. The wave does get thinned out, so they don't want to pull the trigger on this one.
Very surprised they didn't go for it. If they had a killed Swiper there, or even burn his flash, this would be a very difficult laning phase. However, they're going to continue the aggression. Maybe they don't need to kill him. They can just look to force him out.
Ooh,
actually, he might die. First blood picked up for Mimic, and Swiper doesn't burn a summoner.
And he makes it look so easy. I was going to say he keeps making these trades ever so slowly. Swiper is being whittled down, but Mimic, only 3.5 minutes into the first game, solo kill onto the rock on the top.
And this is the thing you say, it suits us. They're a passive bottom lane. But at the same time, if Swiper cannot live, if you get this Camille ahead, Mimic will run a train on your team. Trust me, it's happened before.
And this is not a tank v tank. This is not Sion versus Ornn. Cho'Gath's in the top lane. He has himself the Camille. This has been one of the most banned champions against Legacy over the entire split.
Look at Claire. He's making this look easy. He's just dancing around skill shots. Built himself a CS lead by a wave when only 6 waves have crashed. He's in some tremendous form.
In saying that, the bottom lane of Chiefs have also got themselves about a 10 CS lead, and this is exactly what they want the draft. If Jinx, if Raze on this champion does fall behind, this composition does struggle, but as long as he is relevant in team fights, if he can stay ahead of the 8 ball, then they will have a damage threat.
But they only have 1, because if Swiper falls behind, Karma's not going to be doing damage. So it is a big risk. And the thing I always say about protect the Jinx comps, or protect any AD carry comp, is you think you have to kill the AD carry, but you actually don't. You can kill the support tools around it. If the Braum falls down, you don't have a front line. Or if you get somehow the Karma, she has no ability to stay in the fight. You can actually win off picking the members around, and that's what we learned when Lulu was a big pick. Stop trying to kill the AD carry, kill the Lulu, and you win the game.
Yeah, it's not very fun being that Lulu, of course. I'm interested to see what sort of build Ryoma goes for, as Mimic might just be looking. Sybil's up here again, but so's Babip.
So's Babip. That's going to be a teleport in, and they will dodge out on the CC. Doesn't burn the flash quite yet. Ryoma up here as well. That will be some health back, but Mimic falls down. They continue chasing here. Now the Cassiopeia is in.
5.
There is a very nice miasma, and Babip is going to fall very low very quickly. Now Ryoma on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift will get slowed down. Claire still has the flash. Ryoma flashes away. In goes Claire. Flash, petrifying gaze. And Ryoma, he's running real quick. Is he going to be able to get out? Yes, he will. If Sybil keeps chasing, this could actually be very bad. But it's going to be a 1-for-1. And
plus the
ultimately,
TP.
that is good for the Chiefs.
TP comes out of Ryoma first, so they get to the play. They do take down Mimic. They burn his flash as well. But a nice response out of Legacy means the trade doesn't go too far in Chiefs' favor. A lot of summoners burnt across the board. And I was going to say, I wonder what build we see the Karma go for. And it will just be the Athenes. Does he opt in later? Because you have a Braum, things like that. Does he go for the full support in the Mikhails, the Ardent, things like that? Or does he just go straight decap and have to be a damage threat?
I mean, I think that you just go Athenes into Ardent and then full AP. Get yourself a Death Cap, potentially get yourself the Leandry, something like that. Because you do need more than one damage threat in a team comp. And right now, Swiper 0-1-1 is down 13 CS, only has 26 TS in a game where the junglers are running around with about 40. So he's struggling. He's not going to have many items.
The big thing is that the flash from Mimic did get burned in that engage, so suddenly Swiper's going to have a little bit of an easier time. But in saying that, there's just so much vision on the top side of the map for Legacy there. Pink Ward's in the dot bush. Mimic just placed his own up the river. And as Sejuani doesn't have the best ganks. Like, once you hit level 6, you can start locking people down. But Mimic on the Camille, he can buffer out the CC. He can dodge the CC.
Well, the thing about Sejuani is she has great ganks if you have a melee top laner. Because a melee just starts auto-attacking something like a Camille. Sejuani actually synergizes very well with, brings the AP damage, is able to keep them in place. However, with a ranged top laner, Sejuani only really brings CC in the form of a slow and the ultimate, and has to get either double fail or 4 auto attacks off to be able to CC up. So not the lane you're looking for.
Yeah, and especially when Camille has such a large dash, it really does rely on Swiper to be able to land the never move. If they get that rip, then maybe they can take him down, but still holding about a 10 CS lead in the top side. It is still matched by Raze.
However, now Big Swift has the ultimate, so if Mimic goes aggressive onto him, he will have a lot of health regeneration to be able to get back. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, 15 CS, as you said, bottom is about 10. Recalls have come across, and it looks like it is going to be a Zeal rush after a BF sword for Raze. How do you think these teams scale? Is the Protect the 80 carry comp the be-all and the end-all? Or is the Camille plus Cassio enough?
I feel like once you get to that 6-item phase, then Jinx will be an absolute monster. But I feel like before
actually,
that point, Legacy
to the
going.
top lane. In goes Big Swift into the Crow form. No flash, as you mentioned. Going to get stunned up. Will be ripped back if they need to. However, it does not look necessary. Another kill over to Mimic.
And this is what we saw, the evolution of the series yesterday. Versus Order Legacy as it went on. They prioritized giving Mimic their resources and going topside more and more. And it ended up with a victory. Already game 1 versus the Chiefs. They're showing it here today.
Yeah, exactly right. And we said this about Skarner already, but I want to re-hit it. You get free time on the tempo jungler. It's not like he's trading his farm, very nice double stun, into the ultimate out of raid for some good chip damage. And what I was going to say, it's not like he's not getting CS on the back end of this. He's also up in farm. So this is just the strength of the Skarner pick.
But that's the thing, right? You talk about being up in farm on the Skarner. Also, Raze in the bottom that we've touched on. He is 10 CS ahead. But this is stylistically not how the Chiefs have played the entire season. They would have had Isaiah Rakan, they would have had an Alistar going in, they would have had like a kill lead by now, they would have had chip damage onto the turret, not just a fairly intangible 10 CS lead to account for the deficit they have on the top side of the map.
Yeah, absolutely. Item finish right now for Ryoma. As it is a very cheap build, he's going to start stacking up some items. Meanwhile, it looks like Babip wants to solo out a dragon. However, this is risky because he is half HP. He is a Sejuani and he is being collapsed on. And if he gives up the leash by going over the wall, do they just take it over? It looks like they do. You can see Raid has to Arcane shift away. Traps go down, and this could just be the disengage.
Potentially a flank coming out of Claire, though, was posturing down. Both top laners have the TP, so nobody really wants to commit too far onto the opposition side of the map because the big flanks were there from either top laner. But in the end, Babip takes a bunch of HP, so does Sybil, and they all back away.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Sybil just looking for his shrine, looking to get himself an advantage if a team fight does break out over here. But meanwhile, Swiper is just getting bullied Bryce.
The second proc does so much damage there. He still doesn't have his flash available. They burnt them at the same time. So when Swipers is up, so is Mimic's.
And if he doesn't teleport back to this lane, Mimic's going to crash a 2-wave. And he's got a Sheen already. He's going to start doing some serious turret damage. We've already seen what happens when the man gets teleport advantage. This is bad.
And this is the thing. They have the triple AP topside. Karma, Sejuani, Swain. He's opted in for an early Hex Drinker for that safety, but in the split push, they're going to have to be bringing down Raze later on in the game if they have any hope of killing him. So Mimic's not just going to die immediately if he finds himself between a couple of Chiefs members.
Absolutely. And now he can take a tempo recall. He doesn't need a teleport if he does not want to. And if he wants to continue putting the screws in, he can. Everything this year for Legacy looked like it had fallen apart. only one remaining member. With the retirement of Carbon, they looked like they lacked leadership. They were supporting a brand new bottom lane of people that weren't big names within the OPL, but they bought over the Korean import. They invested in some infrastructure, and they kept Soul Strikes, and now they're reaping the benefit of that.
Absolutely. Sybil going to do the reverse Babip on the top side of the map. Instead of the Infernal, looks to solo out the Rift Herald, but will just back away because he gets spotted out. This bottom lane turret has taken about 30% of the damage. Stun, barely going to miss from Decoy.
Takes a rocket in response. Very nicely played by Raze. There are no pots, however, and Raid's sitting on double red pot.
Yeah. He's already got one on himself as well. So he's actually had 3 so far. Sybil
Predator pop, does he flash for it? Actually, he does. Drags him back. Miasma down, which means that now they can continue. Over the wall has to go Claire. He had the flash available and did not go for it.
Slight misplay out of the mid-jungle 2v2 from Legacy. They didn't hold him on the Miasma, so Ryoma gets the instant flash over the wall. Does not die.
They're going to look to return the favor. Sybil has been caught. Ryoma is here and grabs himself a kill in response.
That's big. Suddenly the Karma in this Cassio counter pick. He's down in CS, he's down 20, but he has 2 kills, already finished his first item, scaling up with a tier.
They're going to start up the Dragon as well. Recall is being channeled, so that might cost Legacy big because they were winning top lane naturally. Bottom lane was holding on, but in Infernal Drake, we saw it all in yesterday's series, starts to tip it over the edge. Only one Infernal loss, and that was in game number 5.
Absolutely, especially when you have champions like the Jinx and you start scaling up with Infernals, the amount of damage they can dish out just becomes astronomically scary.
Even champions like Karma scale incredibly well with AP.
Flat damage.
And we're actually going to see a bit of an AP build coming out because even though it started with an Athene's, which is a great item, now we're going into a Ceres. So that is going to be big AP and double dipping AP champions. Talking about the likes of, actually Mimic going to get his backstop.
Nice cancel out a swiper, that does give vision. The hook shot does not quite land. But dodges out the never move, so wins the trade anyway.
Has Swiper hit a never move yet?
I don't think we've seen one. Maybe one very early lane.
Yeah. However, next Dragon is going to be an Ocean Drake. So maybe not as much priority placed on it.
But this is already a quicker game than most of the ones we saw yesterday. The fights back and forth. A few early ganks. Ryoma been the recipient of a few of those kills right there. But Sybil doesn't have the flash available right now. The flash cooldown, big thing for the Skarner, of course. When he had that available, they got the freest gank to Ryoma. Unfortunately, misexecute. They do not get the kill.
This is a stage of the game where the lane starts getting really rough for Ryoma. And you're going to see him clear and leave, not through priority, but backwards. Because now you've got a rank 2 ultimate on a Cassiopeia that does a lot of damage versus really no ultimate on Karma.
Absolutely, and you can just tell that by the vision as well. They got pink wards on either side of mid lane, which means Claire can kind of float into either side of the map, and it's very hard for Chiefs to play through either of the side lanes. Ryoma will posture up a little bit, trying to clear out the wave, but just as you were saying, Claire just has so much control.
Yeah, absolutely, and now he's going to get tagged by the Twin Bite. Will still use that shield, and you can see Claire is just blocking him out of mid lane. This is ideally the lane that the Chiefs like to win early through and translate that down bottom side.
And this is exactly what we're saying. They want to be able to translate mid towards bottom, but suddenly Legacy have the priority. Their bottom lane is ahead in CS, but as we mentioned, a little bit of chip damage. No real kills down there, no real advantage. So the game, pretty close between these two teams. Less than 2,000 gold lead. Legacy looking for a dive mid, but Bip is here though.
They're now seeing Sybil trying to go into mid lane. They will stun up, and they've got 3 members down here. Drags back the jungler. Petrifying Gaze misses. However, Mimic is in here on the back end of the team fight. Sybil taking so much damage. Ryoma now gets tagged up. The collapse is here, however. Can they actually get out? Rocket lands. They go back over the wall. Stun up Ryoma. Where is the bottom lane of the Chiefs? It looked like they went back. Now Destiny wants to continue the fight. You cannot run into Cassio, and that is a huge deal for Legacy.
And once again, Sybil didn't even have the flash, but they still get the pick. Mimic has to burn TP to get back topside. Swiper buys himself a little bit of respite, but Ryoma and Babip go down. Claire in this middle lane now sitting on 3 kills. Absolutely popping off.
Yeah, he is a legitimate win condition. And Swiper must take this window where Mimic has no priority and is sitting on what needs to be a back. Looks like he's going to get it for free. I'm so surprised to see Swiper walk down lane because I thought if there is ever a time to sit at turret and like block the back as a mage, it could potentially be now.
And that vision is still there for Legacy. He walks down, would have been spotted out, so would have been really no threat onto the Cassiopeia in the mid lane. We have to give critique where it's due there, though. The Cassio Skarner 2v2 is very easy to land the Impale into the Petrifying Gaze. That's 2 times right now. Legacy this time They did get the kill, but they messed it up once again. The CC chain was not there. Babip lived for slightly longer than he probably should have, but Sybil still been very active on the map, trying to give Mimic a base on the top side. Of course, he TP'd from mid, back up to top, and hasn't been to the base in a long time. He'll be sitting on Triforce components.
Gets the drag back, gets himself a soul. And
now he's got 3.
That's really nice play out of Sybil. And this is a player that I've been watching. Actually, Chief's going to break first turret. Very big turret down here. Give that gold solo over to Raze.
There we go, yeah. Already got the QSS very early on Destiny because he's gone for the Guardian. The Unsealed Spellball picked up by Decoy, but they wanted a little bit more of that lane pressure, so has to kind of pay the price for that one, but will be safe towards the ample amounts of CC on the Legacy lineup.
And right now, there is a huge gold lead sitting on the 80 carry of the Chiefs. He's got himself the completed 2 most expensive items going towards second Zeal already. As far as protect the 80 carry comp goes,
the 80 carry's online.
That is very nice.
That's
However, you look at mid lane, and it's a big CS advantage there. You look at top lane, it's got a couple of kills and 3 assists. So really, it's going to be Raze versus the world right now.
And that's the thing. You talk about scaling, of course, Jinx is an absolute monster, especially with the Karma in her back pocket. But if you get hit by one single petrifying gaze, if all of a sudden you get CC'd by Sybil with the Impale on the Skyner.
Does Mimic cancel here? Yes, he does. I like this
a lot. Of pings. Destiny will want to ward the bush.
With 2.
Can they get onto Raze, though?
They're actually going to be able to. They flash over the top, and they're going to be able to lock him down. And can they blow him up? Yes, they can. Legacy now hit back and shut down Raze.
And that is such a nice read. They baited the play there. Sitting on the pink ward, they knew Chiefs wanted to ward that bush. They wanted the extra safety. Picking on the strongest member of the Chiefs lineup right now, Legacy, looking to take control of the game.
And the thing about Legacy is there is no counterplay. Claire is already floating into Fog of War. He's not on the map up and available for the play. Everyone else is in the play. They're walking down the lane or they're there. Swiper has to push 2 waves into a turret, and that's never going to happen. Meanwhile, Destiny has got back bot very quickly.
And the biggest thing is this was happening when Mimic doesn't even have TP priority. Swiper has the ability to match from across the map, but because Legacy pulled the trigger, when they had this opportunistic play available, and it was pretty nicely executed. Sybil flashes over the Winter's Bite. Of course, the Hextech Ultimatum knocks Destiny away, so he can't even really be stunning people up with the passive. So Raze, he did have both his summoners, but neglected to use them because he would have died anyway.
I mean, Hextech Ultimatum just means Flash is a trivialized summoner spell. Especially, apparently Sejuani chucked, not pegged, threw an ult at someone. I gotta stop saying peg.
Okay.
I say it all the time with Sejuani ult. It's like my thang.
That's not your thang. Saying thang. That's I haven't heard you say that one before. Of course, we are almost 19 minutes into the game. The Ocean Drake has spawned, but Baron in 1 minute. Chiefs still looking to set up on the top side of the map. Legacy have kind of gone into the 1-3-1.
This is interesting
because
they've got themselves an MR item on Cassiopeia.
Now into the Jinx.
Now landing into a Jinx. When there is a Swain on the map, you would argue that potentially Claire would like to look for Swiper. I would make that argument.
If he lands a Q, you can just chase him down, dodge the Never Move. Swain really doesn't have a lot of tools to keep distance between himself and you.
Well, the thing is that Never Move still drags you back into Swain, and that's really not the answer that you're looking for.
You really have to predict the slow.
Yeah.
Right? Like the W has to land, otherwise Cassio will just chase you down. Once that first Q lands, she's absolutely just chasing time and time again. Swiper looking for the rip back over the wall.
And look at this. Oh, wow, that's 100. Auto proc. Yeah, that feels good. When you don't even have the room for the Klepto, but you just see the 100 flash over your head, you say, thank you, RNGesus. Today is a good day.
A little bit of a booster to the bank account there, you know. Dividends being paid. Sybil will just solo out the Ocean Drake this time.
But Legacy right now, at 20 minutes into a game, a 2,500 gold in the league, going to equalize the Dragons and have themselves a very good Baron comp right now.
And it's kind of funny how stereotypical this matchup is for Legacy, right? Their bot lane, 0-0-0. All of their kills are onto Claire, are onto Mimic on the top side of the map. They're playing through their strengths right now, and it is paying dividends for them. They have the advantage. Going into Baron, it has just spawned. You mentioned Cassio, Ezreal, they do this one so quickly.
I mean, if they didn't have double MR items on Cassio and Skarner, honestly, they could two-man it. With how big Claire currently is, that is not a slow Baron by any stretch of the imagination. So you can see that right now, Claire feels like he has to check it.
Just going to go back to the top side. clear out that wave. And we haven't talked about specifically, the 1-3 run that Legacy is setting up is kind of nice into this protect the AD carry comp. Because what Chiefs want to do when they get their item spikes, they want a death ball. Karma needs to be with the Jinx to be useful in this composition. They need the front line of Braum and Sejuani, but when Mimic's ahead in the side lane, Swiper won't be able to contain him once he starts building up these items. He's going to need help from the jungler. Suddenly you start ripping this death ball apart and you burn them one by one. All of a sudden, the advantages that you already have on the carries of Legacy just means so much more.
Not to mention, if you've got a team comp that can deal with a Fed 80 carry, I actually think Legacy have done a good job of it.
Skarner,
They've
Camille.
got themselves Skarner, Camille, and they can just fly at the back line with a decoy and vulnerability, and there's really not all that much that Raze can do about it. Hextech Ultimatum can dodge all the CC, and honestly, Camille by herself with Taric can just say, mate, give me the invulnerability, I'm going in.
And that's the thing, it's not even on Raze to outplay. It's on the rest of his team to keep him alive. He needs the empowered shield from Ryoma when he's locked in that pit with the Cassio. No, not the Cassio, with the Camille. Destiny, once he does get knocked out by the Hextech Ultimatum, needs to be jumping back in and then blocking the follow-up damage.
And they're just going to go to Baron straight away. You see the recall was completed and Blue Trigger burnt straight away by Ryoma. So they peel away.
He does pick up his third item on the Jinx, so Raze.
He's fed.
He is. He's got a 40 CS lead. 1 kill and sitting on a huge item spike right now. And,
also got solo turret gold. That's something that we overlook as the game progresses, but it's just free at that stage.
The lineup of Legacy isn't that tanky. So if he starts critting people, he will be one-shotting. Oh, unfortunately, didn't crit there. So a little bit of damage
you got 80% and you throw a rocket at someone.
Yep.
You expect it to crit. That's a feels bad, man.
Of course, Raid on the Ezreal has gone the Frozen Fist as well, kind of respecting the damage, so a little bit tankier than the average 80 carry.
But Lucidity boots. This is a
no
game
tabbies.
where you could say tabbies may be a good investment.
I mean, it is only into the Jinx though, and there's a lot of CC, so the toss-up is the kind of. That was a roughie.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to get out what you
sort
actually
of
want to say.
between Mercs, they have so much CC. Braum, Sejuani, Swain, tabbies just for the Jinx, or just went the lucidity kind of in between both.
But I feel like as an Ezreal in these fights, you're going to take the Jinx damage because she's just got 700 range.
Yep.
You're flirting with the 600-ish range, you know, because you're ducking in and out for autos off the back end of your Mystic shot. As actually they're going to run into Claire right here.
It's value out of the Banshees, so.
Banshee's second rush item, by the way, broken. Incredibly strong.
Swiper, half HP. The root does land here, but the turret's very low.
Just prioritizing the turret.
He just
will look to chase him.
He does.
Actually goes into Demonic Ascension, and Mimic can just ulti him here. He does. This is going to be so much damage. Dodges out on the passive, and Swiper, actually there's going to be a 5v5 on the other side of the map. Babip gets into the pit. 1.5k, you can see Raid already flashing away. Sybil is able to pick it up, and now they're trying to get out. 4 members flashing over. Does Raid go with them? Yes, he does. But the successful disengage is there, and Swiper falls down.
And Legacy winning across the map. Mimic picks up a turret and the solo kill as Legacy do the Baron on the top side. Raze was fishing for the crit. He wanted the reset over the back of the Baron pit to try and chase down this members. It's a disastrous time for Chiefs right now.
Exactly right. You can see that Mimic with the Trinity Force, with the Tiamat, has himself a Hex Drinker, and is not the prettiest build in the world right now, Ejim. However, the results are there. 4-1 and 3 takes down 2 turrets, and the fact that they won both plays is so huge.
And that is actually huge. Cleanse comes out to get Claire out of that CC, but the Baron is so low. This is a genuine 50-50. 686 is the smite from Sybil. On this flash at a Raze, if that crits, if those members don't hit the blasting plant, and he gets a rocket onto multiple people, suddenly he cleans up the back end of the fight.
You would say he gets excited, maybe.
He does.
Starts running around.
And that was the buff with the Jinx that kind of propelled her back into a little bit of resurgence onto the fringe of the meta. She gets excited even more nowadays, more move speed, more attack speed. But Legacy with the Baron buff right now. 7,000 gold in the lead.
There is still some standing gold on Summoner's Rift, and I think we now have to start talking about the mentality word. Ryoma, Babip, these are players that have not played many big games. Sure, lots of other members have, as Babip nearly caught out there. And I just think that, how does this team respond? They're playing a different style. I haven't seen them play Protect the 80 carry all week. Oh, yeah.
That's a red buff, and the slow lanes as well. He has no flash. He does have
just
plans.
Fall down.
So he just dies for almost free there. Legacy trying to buy time for Mimic to push in the top lane, or the bot lane rather. Swiper has no flash, but he does have the TP, but he does not want to match in the side lane.
They're going to send down multiple members. They've sent a Sejuani. They've sent themselves a Swainy. You can see other members are starting to cheat across.
But I feel like Swiper right now, he's going for the Leandries. He's trying to fight fire with fire. Actually, that does go wide.
A little bit of a play here. Claire tries to turn around. That is a nice miasma stopping any form of aggression. And they actually grab Raze, drag him back in, but where is the Casio? Doesn't matter, Raze blows him up, and now Claire can look to march forward. In goes, oh, that's a very nice ultimate out of Babip. Probably saved another 2 members of his team.
Yeah, absolutely. Legacy continuing the push. The TP comes through. So Decoy going to get himself back into the fight. He did not use his ultimate when he went down. So they still have the Baron. One member, the strongest member of Chiefs right now, is down. Can they break the base?
I mean, when you're a protector carry comp and you don't have an AD carry, you're up a creek without a paddle is, I think, the correct way to say that. And Mimic's going to break the base, and maybe it's going to be broken in 2 points. This is going to be a 10,000 gold lead.
Yeah, they have 2 options right now, do Chiefs. They're like, look, we can try and contain the 4, or we contain the 1. So no, they send more members down bot to deal with Mimic. They force him away, so 2 turrets taken away from the inhibs, but they don't fall down. So base broken, but no inhibs, so no super creeps. We're going to see this one again. Destiny finds himself just too far forward. The ulti comes out of Claire, but he's blocked by the wall there, but he's just sitting on Miasma right now. He does walk back up, and Ray's just looking for a crit. He does get a big bunch of damage onto Raid. But of course, CC out of Sybil, no QSS. Sitting on 3 items does so much damage, but no safety. And as you mentioned, clutch ulti out of Babip saves the rest of his team.
Certainly does, but at the same time, you have to wonder. 11,000 gold down. You're against a Casio. You're against Mimic, who's picked himself up a snowballed QSS. For crying out loud, the man. Oh, actually, that's going to be a nice engage out of Babip. Flashes on top of Raid. Looking for the stun. Will be able to get it. Raze is coming into range, and that will be the AD carry of Legacy, getting caught out and falling down.
And all of a sudden, Chiefs find the pick they need. Mimic's actually soloing out the next dragon here. It is an Ocean, so
yeah, he's going to have to back away from that one.
Will just back away. Chiefs finding the picks. Of course, you talked about QSS on Mimic. Raze, after he died there, immediately back to bot and Magic. He wants his QSS desperately, but right now is able to frontline because Raid is dead for the next 20 seconds. So Chiefs kind of looking for this turret.
The static shiv into rapid fire cannon
instead of the Runans.
I just think, look at, there's no tanks. You get a Runan's proc onto multiple members. Actually, that's going to be a flub out of Claire. In they go again. No teleport available for Mimic. He's in the bank. And Sybil actually might be the one punished for this. They are fighting without carries. And now Claire could be run down as well. Raze gets caught on the turret. Will get a big shield again.
And Legacy are almost 10,000 gold ahead. But Chiefs have just found 2 picks back to back. They're actually breaking turrets down. Baron was on their side. 10,000 gold lead. Legacy should not be losing these fights.
Absolutely. They shouldn't be taking the fights. You can see right now that this is a one opportunity the Chiefs have to death ball, and they are utilizing it. No teleport on Mimic means he can't join the fight. And you can see Mimic right now is 4,000 gold above Swiper. Just play for the split push.
And as I was saying before, Swiper's not really getting any tankier. He's not going for the Frozen Heart Ninja Tabby's tanky build, right? He's going for the Leandry, so he will be dealing a little bit of damage back to Mimic, but until he's capping items, I feel like Mimic will just have the kill threat.
And as the game gets smaller, as you get shrunk into your base, it becomes harder and harder to punish against what is a death ball comp because they just have such ease of rotating around the map. Really, the big telling point is going to be in the minutes time when Baron is available. How do Legacy set up? They have improved so much in this area. But this will be a different test.
This is absolutely going to be the test. Chiefs just looking to group up around that buff when it does spawn. Legacy going to have to play around the map, and it's kind of just a Baron dance game. It's not about Legacy doing the Baron. They just want to buy enough time, and they want to kind of play on the edge of the engage range from Chiefs. They have Sejuani, they have Braum, and Raze is able to, when he gets a red buff, just sit in the front line, and with the speed up from Karma, he looks for the picks. But if Legacy do get caught out, they will lose the Baron.
Absolutely, and there is a case to be made for just killing Mimic while Legacy take the Baron, because then you get the Baron off the most potent area of the 1-3-1, and you can sit back and farm up a Storm on your Jinx, who's still waiting for 1.5 items to be completed here.
Of course, the turret gold and the pick he got before means he does finish the QSS, and he is working on his last Whisper, so Raze on this Jinx is just getting stronger and stronger. He's a scary Jinx right now.
Certainly is. However, Cassiopeia also very scary, and we don't talk about it a lot, but she doesn't buy boots. So one of the better. Actually, that's going to be a QSS immediately.
Very nice use of that one. Gets himself out of trouble, but that is a big engaged cooldown that Chiefs potentially might need.
I love Mimic's pings, by the way. He is like, I'm going bottom lane. You guys do what you need to do to stop them from getting stuff, but I am on my way to the inhibitor, he says.
And Chiefs are absolutely throwing the gauntlet. Swiper has TP, but he does not care. They're just going straight for the Baron. Claire's going to find himself behind the lineup of Chiefs here.
But if they just stop the bases, Mimic will win the game. We're talking about a Camille that is very fed. Can Sybil actually get into the pit?
Root. He has no QSS. He had to use it
They
before
actually
the
flash
Sejuani.
forward. That's a very nice deterrent thrown out by Decoy. And Mimic is just ending
He's on the
game.
Nexus.
What
is
the heck
going
is
on?
going on? Now they just have priority over the Baron area, and they cannot contest. This will be the Baron picked up for Legacy, and Mimic might actually take out the second inhibitor.
Yeah, the wave.
He is just going to run away.
Can he actually buy enough time? Will he lose his life here? I feel like maybe the root's going to come out from Ryoma. He does flash
Look
out
at
of
the
range.
flash,
So
however, look at where Destiny is. Look at the speed ups coming out of Ryoma. Nice slow will proc there, and that will be Mimic eventually
How long
getting
an hook
snared
shot?
up. Very nice
Oh.
flash forward. QSS is going to be
Doesn't
used.
land, no.
With this bite, does not land, but they are just unrelenting in this pressure. He is just buying time. Hextech Ultimatum goes down, does not pick up the kill. Shut down for Ryoma.
But gold lead still 10,000 in Legacy's favor. Chief find themselves about a minute of respite as Mimic is dead on the map, but once he spawns, he has the teleport. Now with this Baron, the 1-3-1 just going to be so much more effective for Legacy. It's about picking the non-fights. That's what they did around the Baron buff. They just danced around, kind of waited for Chiefs to try and engage. Sejuani had no ultimate. They baited out the Mantra shield from the Karma, so they didn't have the speed to get onto the backline of Legacy. They all walk away. Mimic takes the inhib.
Absolutely. He took a Nexus turret as well, so there is only one up and available. And the scary thing is you're transferring power right now. Sure, Mimic, you know, he is scary, but potentially can't kill Raze. But you know who probably can? The Cassiopeia, that now
Just
has
got a
himself a
decap.
Void Staff, a Death Cap, upgraded Seraphs, as well as the Banshee's Veil, if you don't mind, is also going to go on invulnerable and just run at you like a madman.
Looking big. Seal sitting on 7 stacks of the Dark Seal as well, so he's got a bit of value out of that one. Legacy, all members are onto the map right now. They have played this one fairly slow, of course, 4v5 for the last minute. Dragon is spawning fairly soon, but Baron buff is about halfway out, just a little bit over.
It's an Infernal Drake as well.
There
So
we go.
Cassiopeia would love one of those. Raze would preferably like a second. So we'll see whether he's able to get that rolling. You can see right now, 4-1 coming out of Legacy.
As you talked about before, it is the all-in on the Jinx Pink. Ardent Sensor and the Athenes coming out of the Karma mid, so they're just opting in for the full buff up onto Raze. They need this Jinx to be able to deal damage. Sybil was actually in the base for a second there, but potentially Legacy just going to walk up the top side. They have that priority, going to take the freestanding gold on the map in this inner turret.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe just not going to go towards Dragon because that is an area the Chiefs may look to fight them. Raze is running forward into Claire at the moment.
But all of a sudden, this is all 5 members on the screen. Last time this happened for Legacy, Chiefs won the fight. They don't win this death ball. Potentially the gold lead is enough to counteract the composition advantage Chiefs have right now, but Legacy struggling to play all sides of the map.
The thing is that I don't feel like the Chiefs' tanks are tanky enough. You have a look at Babip as well as Destiny. They have no tank stats between them.
Destiny has a QSS, so he hasn't even finished his first
Oh,
item
actually, Raze uses the ultimate there. Could have just had an ulti thrown at him in response. Instead, it's just dancing around.
That's going to be a shift over the wall, so does not have that cooldown available right now, but Infernal uncontested, just going over to Legacy, so they're going to even out the score in that regard.
Is it uncontested? I can see a Braum.
Oh,
hanging
Winter's
around.
Bite. Nah, not enough range right now. Does he even throw it? No, just walked away. Knew that one was not going to happen. The Baron buff is almost out for Legacy, so didn't get a whole lot with that buff, but did stabilize the map for the most part. Got the rest of the turrets that aren't in the base, but right now, bottom lane inhib is dead. Will be spawning fairly soon, but they are looking for mid.
And they just want to play 2 lanes right now and let the super creeps do their job. You can see right now they are trying to let top push in. It's a very nice chunk coming out of Raze there.
And this is the scary thing. When you're Raze, when your Jinx can frontline, you see this with Cogmore comps and Jinx comps mainly. When he can stand at the front, he has the safety. If he gets in trouble, Destiny's going to jump forward, block the damage. They have huge shields coming out of the Karma. But Sybil does have the flash. It is answered by the QSS, but there's a moment in time there. If Miasma lands, anything like that, Raze is under a lot of threat.
However, this is where the Taric is really paying dividends because you can see right now that he's getting chunked to half health, no access to creep waves, anything like that, and Decoy is able to keep him topped up, and top lane turret has fallen down.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Mimic on the left-hand side of your screen, barely just in vision, takes down the turret. Raze is doing a nice job of 2v4ing with his mid laner down here, Redemption.
He certainly is,
Will
and they
come
might
through.
just go. You can see that Raid wasn't in that Redemption, and I feel like it is getting scary for Legacy because 1-1 team fight for the Chiefs right now. They will march it up mid lane, and they will probably end the game with a Jinx.
And you were talking about it before. It's so easy for them to hold once they are locked into this base. Once you put 10 members on the screen, and that's what has to happen to take down this inhib. The bottom lane, you saw the audio cue before, he's spawning very soon. So Legacy going to find themselves with that and hitting right now.
They go into Ryoma and they're able to blow him up instantly. Down comes the ultimate out of the turret and in goes Mimic. No, he's actually just going to back away. Raze is going very low. However, Claire also in that position. In goes Mimic, blows up a bit, and now it is a 3v5. Swiper is trying to frontline as best as he can, but for the whole game he has just been behind, and Mimic is assassinating fools left, right, and center right now. Big Swip explodes, takes down Raid, but it doesn't matter. This is going to be a 36-minute win for Legacy. They have run the gauntlet, and they will pick up game number 1 versus the Chiefs.
10 games already. 1-0 up against the Chiefs. You mentioned it earlier in the cast deck. They picked on the Karma. Raze is fine. He's in the front line. He does all the damage. He has the QSS. As soon as Ryoma steps a little bit too far forward, doesn't have that cooldown himself. He just dies, and the composition falls apart.
Veterans have long memories. Sybil has played the game for a very long time. He would have played through 3 iterations of Protect the 80 carry comps. He knew immediately as soon as Ryoma was in front of the Jinx that he was out of position and should die, and capitalized on a mistake so well. Honestly, he has stepped up in such a huge way since that first game versus Avant Gaming.
Absolutely. Time and time again, we've complimented him. Yesterday, the most wholesome interview I've ever seen on the OPL Lounge.
Oh, he's a top bloke.
Yep. And Juves just paying him compliments left, right, and center, of course. Rough few games against AV, against Order as well, you mentioned, but now, first game, Legacy find themselves, they're not 0-2 down. They don't have to reverse sweep this one. They already have the advantage over the long-time rivals in Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely, and the Chiefs had the ability to take a tempo jungler into it. They could have selected the Olaf, one of Babip's better junglers at the moment. He is known for his mechanical play. Didn't go for it, went for Sejuani, and I feel like that tempo hurt them topside.
And that's the thing, tempo is the word, because they picked a Jinx. They picked the late game scaling to protect the Raze composition, and Legacy were fine to match, and it's just a different style than we've seen Chiefs play the entire year. They want the alley, they want the Rakan, they want to be going. They are the best team at getting a 15-minute advantage and then just exploding the game 20 minutes Baron end. And we've seen that time and time again. And this is just a completely different playbook that they've used against Legacy, and it didn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. However, that is only game 1. If there's a curveball to be thrown, you would throw it then. To break that game down further, let's throw it over to the Analyst Hangout.
Thank you very much, guys. Legacy able to take game number 1 in this series, and they look untouchable right now, coming into this series on fire. Now, I want to start talking about the draft because the Chiefs threw a few curveballs out today. We weren't expecting to see Ryoma pull out the Karma, and on the same page, Raze pulling out the Jinx. Jubes, what did you think about the draft?
I think Ryoma picking the Karma kind of surprised us all. We were like, wait, that's not really a Ryoma champion. Because he's more known as like that kind of 1v5 player where like it's just do or die, you'll win or lose through him kind of thing. The Jinx, I think Quinny's been a big time Ray's been a big time Jinx player, but if like they preach to be some form of like a really aggressive bottom lane, that did not look like it suit them. But in saying that, I can see why they picked it. It nearly brought the game back from the brink. Like he had 300. Close to 300 CS at 22 minutes.
Yeah.
He was just like a vacuum. And like the pick nearly saved the game. But yeah, giving Mimic his best champion.
Yeah, because that's something that a lot of people like don't really talk about, is the fact that when you have some, or as people say, potentially Destiny and Raze being the stronger 2v2 bot lane, a lot of people tend to opt in and tunnel vision into playing the aggressive matchup. You know, sometimes if you're the better 2v2 matchup, you can just opt into the scaling and you're not going to get punished for it. So I think that's where Chiefs were kind of going down that road, but it just didn't seem to work out in the end.
Juves, you were just talking about Mimic, and I think we have to talk about him in this game because it seems as though he's carried his performance over from the past 2 series. But you were saying that his lead in the top lane was impacting and hurting other lanes for the Chiefs.
Yeah, so I think that, like, obviously, junglers hadn't even affected the lane yet. Grabbed that solo kill.
The buffs, man.
Yeah, hadn't even finished the full camps yet. Hadn't even got buffs. But what that sometimes does, a lot of people don't realize, is that getting a solo kill obviously makes the lane really hard for Swiper, right? Swiper's on the defense now. But what that actually did, it actually affected mid lane. He was constantly roaming down the river, hovering down the river, Roma having to sit back, and that eventually resulted in a dive on Roma.
It wasn't even the fact that, like, yeah, I agree with you 100%, the roams are real bad, but, like, they even had to burn TP and 3-man the lane to bail him out. Like, you remember when Karma went topside? Karma didn't end like, better off that. Cassio roamed up 2, got a kill. So it inherently made mid lane stronger for Legacy. Top lane, yes, they kind of did get a little bit back, but it wasn't enough. And, like, when you're burning, like, teleport from your Karma, to top lane instead of like going back to mid lane and shoving and roaming, then there's a lot of problems. And like I think that was like more a reactionary TP, and it wasn't set up. Like the wave management wasn't good. He probably didn't have much priority. He just had to TP, otherwise the top lane was definitely over.
Yeah, and there was a big moment in the game when Legacy forced a Baron when Swiper wasn't around the team. He was in that bottom lane. Jubes, you were saying this was a bit of a risky 50-50 Baron coming out of Legacy.
Yeah.
Walk us through it.
So, like, Mimic was solo killing Swiper in the bot lane there, and he just took the tower as well. Legacy, it was the right call to do the Baron, but what I disagree with is, like, leaving this to 50-50. I know Sharp said that sometimes Shern does like a bit of a 50-50. He does like to like let it go to the 50-50. But like, and I don't mind it either. It's kind of like a jungle thing where you get to like, you feel like you just alphaed them, like you're flexing on them.
Yeah,
and you're like, yeah, that's my D key, boy. But it was more or less like, I don't think Legacy needed to necessarily risk the Baron. But the plane itself in the bot lane, they would have got like such a huge lead regardless.
Yeah, because like the way I saw it is like I think it was extremely clever by Legacy, because I think the way that Mimic approached this was like, okay, Swiper wants to group with the team. He's playing Swain. He has superior front to back composition. He wants to group up, peel for his 80 carry, be a frontline for his 80 carry. But Mimic putting the pressure on him, going for that all in as Legacy are going for that Baron, putting them in a lose-lose, right? Now Swiper's stuck in a side lane against Camille, getting solo killed, and Chiefs are looking to have a force to group up and commit for this Baron. So I think it's a really smart play by Legacy, and I think that it was a bit sloppy in terms of execution, but the idea is definitely spot on.
Well, it definitely worked out well for them. So if we look forward to Game 2, what do we want to see changing from the Chiefs? Do we want to see Ryoma put on a champion he's much more comfortable on? Or is there something else you think they can change in the break?
I think at this point, you honestly just can't risk giving Swiper any form of a skill matchup. Like, you need to put him on a tank, because Mimic has just shown the ability to literally run away with the game. So do you want to risk it again and put like a carry versus kind of carry matchup in the top lane? I don't think so. You put him on a tank, and you just try and make Mimic as useless as possible. And I guarantee you, Roma's in that room now saying, give me a skill matchup mid. I'm not playing supportive mivs. I really want to play a carry mid laner where I can just like 1v5 if I need to.
Yeah, so I think that overall, like game plan aside, I think this is the real test for Chiefs. They haven't been tested in terms of like mentally. I feel like going into this best of 5, they're a game down. They were potentially coming in they were coming in extremely confident. Now's the real test. Legacy have put on the accelerator, and let's just see now if Chiefs can handle that. I guess the emotion side of things, like the mindset. Let's see if they can really pull it back and kind of show us the Chiefs that they've been showing us all through the split.
Well, Jake was talking about that in the cast with the young players on the side of the Chiefs, Mirama and Babip. If they can overcome this loss and get back on their feet going into game number 2. But we asked you earlier today to send in what you would change or what you would get buffed or nerfed in League of Legends if you could pick one thing. And we've had heaps of messages come through, so we're going to show 2 of them right now. The first one coming from Ben, who says, I would buff Sivir. Every other utility ADC can output mega damage, Tristana for example. I just reckon a small rework or a big one would be divine. She's such a fun champion to play nevertheless though. I'm with you, Ben. I was a big Sivir player.
No, this is the worst, but I can't disagree more. From the competitive standpoint, Sivir's wave clear is the most obnoxious thing potentially in competitive history.
Yes.
Like dragging games out to 50, like 60 minutes is Sivir's like, that's what Sivir excels at.
There's a reason that LCK kind of don't play that champion anymore, because it goes to like a 80-minute game with CS leads broken. It's just, and also like if you buff Sivir, the kit's too good then.
The
like
spell shield is so strong.
The ulti basically zooming your whole team around, the crits, you can just hit front line and crit back line. It's just too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to play on I'll probably
retire.
retire. I'm going to retire.
Ben, I have to thoroughly disagree with you.
I'm going to retire when that happens. I'm out.
Our second one comes in from Matt, who says, definitely Nautilus's damage. I want to return that champion to the top lane. He's not very viable right now. Feels bad, man.
For Sharp's sake, I'm going to say don't buff that, because Chippies is an avid anti-Nautilus player. I played with Chippies back in the day, and like Nautilus was first picked in LCK, and he's just like, I'm not playing Nautilius. Like, he was like adamant it wasn't a good champ. But like, I'm over it. See, I don't want to be CC'd to death.
No, I think Big Swips would love that. I think another tank in the meta would be good for Chiefs at the moment. So.
Yeah, I could say that, but maybe Mimic wouldn't like it.
No, potentially. Oh man, Mimic's played a lot of
Mimic has
tanks.
played tanks, you know? Yeah.
For me personally, I think Nautilus, there's a lot of strong takes at the moment. I don't think another tank in there really changes much about the meta, but I think Nautilus is a pretty cool champ.
I do like the champ.
Big scuba.
I don't like when I get hooked and ulted, but
no one does.
Nah.
But he's a very fun champion to play. Thank you so much
Satisfying.
for sending your messages in, guys. And don't forget to keep sending them through to us with the hashtag #IamOPL on Twitter or Facebook. We're going to head to a break. But when we get back, we're going to have game number 2 between the Chiefs and Legacy. Don't miss it.
Jungler, petrifying gaze misses. However, Mimic is in here on the back end of the team fight. Sybil taking so much damage. Ryoma now gets tagged up. The collapse is here, however. Can they actually get out? Rocket lands. They go back over the wall. Stun up Ryoma. Where is the bottom lane of the Chiefs? It looked like they went back. Now Destiny wants to continue the fight. They're actually going to be able to. They flash over the top and they're going to be able to lock him down. And can they blow him up? Yes, they can. Actually, there's going to be a 5v5 on the other side of the map. Babbitt gets into the pit. 1.5k. You can see Raid already flashing away. Sybil is able to pick it up. And now they're trying to get out. 4 members flashing over. Does Raid go with them? And they actually grab Raid, drag him back in. But where is the Cassio? Doesn't matter. Raid blows him up. And now Claire can look to march forward. Down comes the ultimate out of the turret, and in goes Mimic. No, he's actually just going to back away. Raze is going very low. However, Claire also in that position. In goes Mimic, blows up a bit, and now it is a 3v5. Swiper is trying to frontline as best as he can, but for the whole game, he has just been behind. This is going to be a 36-minute win for Legacy. They have run the gauntlet, and they will pick up game number 1 versus the Chiefs.